Upon encountering a question related to Israel armored vehicles, even someone not all that well versed in military matters will probably remember the name Merkava. It refers to a vehicle that fuses advanced technologies with a high degree of concern for those inside. Until 1970, like many other countries that aren't particularly large, Israel had preferred imported vehicles using an already obsolete American and British tech, and only keeping it up to date by making its own expert modernization. But a whole heap of different issues regarding the procurement of such a mismatched vehicle fleet, and even greater problems servicing it, inevitably led the country's government to wisely decide to develop its own MBT. The project was initially a non-standard one, since they had decided to combine a tank and an IFV with a troop compartment into one vehicle. The second difference from typical global practices was the vehicle's weight and dimensions. Usually, tanks are designed in such a manner that accounts for the need to transport them along railway lines, but in the case of the Merkava, no such restrictions were imposed. The tank was developed with a narrow specialization in mind. It was intended exclusively for the local theater of war and for use in established positions. Thanks to this doctrine, today the Merkava is the heaviest modern tank out there. The Mark IV modification weighs more than 65 tons, but a tank's worth doesn't lie in its weight. So today we are going to talk about an earlier modification, the Merkava Mk.2D, introduced in War Thunder in the premium technology branch for Israel. Armament. The tank boasts a 105mm Sharir cannon, an Israel copy of the British L7, with a two-plane stabilizer and an ammo capacity of 62 rounds. It can be used with 4 types of armor: APFSD, HIT, HASH and smoke rounds. The weapon stands out due to its high accuracy, and its ammo capacity allows you to land a direct hit on most targets. Equally as impressive are its high aiming speed and good gun depression, which are suitable for Israel's mountains and hills, as well as for all of War Thunder's maps. To the list of its shortcomings, we can safely add the lack of variable zoom on its sight, although the gunner does have access to thermal imaging and commander-gunner control for the main cannon. As far as secondary armament goes, it has a whole arsenal of machine guns, 3 7.62mm caliber guns and 1 12.7mm gun, with a total ammo capacity of more than 10,000 rounds. This pocket anti-aircraft defense is ideally suited to taking down particularly irritating helicopters and unarmored targets, and for simply thinning out vegetation. Layout. This is the vehicle's most distinct feature. The external armor meets the actual structure in seamless fashion, and the structure is oriented towards frontal defense. Towards the front lies the engine compartment, which is followed by the fighting compartment, and the armor rack is positioned at the rear. The tank is very large and capacious. The driver is seated at the front of the hull, while the gunner and loader are in the central section, and the commander is in the turret. This layout improves survivability if the turret is taken out. What's more, all the ammunition is located at the base of the vehicle and is protected by armored boxes. It won't be safe in case of a direct hit, but it can withstand shrapnel if the turret is penetrated. Survivability. This attribute of the tank is average, however. Despite the fact that vehicle's armor is complex and multi-layered, its composite screens provide only partial protection against hit rounds, and the tank is practically unprotected against APFSD armor. These are precisely what Merkava encounters most frequently in battle. It is the front of the turret that performs best in this regard, mostly due to its immense size. As well as its main armor, the turret is also completely covered covered with thick composite screens, so it can take hits to its cheeks without any consequences, even against sub-caliber rounds. But if an opponent knows where to strike, that simply won't be enough. We therefore recommend covering the turret with bushes, which will make aiming it harder. As far as the hull is concerned, things are rather worse. Essentially, its only saving grace is the forward position of the engine, which often takes hits, thus giving you a chance to fire back. Mobility. For a vehicle that weighs 73 tons, its mobility is satisfactory. On firm ground, the tank can reach up to 54 km per hour, but more often you'll be traveling at an average speed of 35 km per hour. Try to choose a less hilly route so that you don't become a slow, bulky target. The vehicle's reversing speed is decent, 10 km per hour. Furthermore, it turns with both tracks, so its mobility is sufficient for the majority of situations, except for rapid attacks as part of a vanguard. Use in battle. Due to its huge size and weak armor, in open terrain the Merkava Mk.2D is a predictably easy target. Try to choose covered routes to avoid gunfire and base your tactics on the turret use, especially since its admirable gun depression allows it to take up position on the other side of a hill. Its laser warning system will also warn you if you are being targeted by a rocket and that you should hide or deploy smoke. On the topic of smoke, the tank carries a lot of it as a precautionary measure. There are 42 smoke grenades in total, 12 in the turret, and 1 can be fired out of each of the mortars on the roof. Smoke can also be emitted from the exhaust system, and the tank also has smoke rounds. Have you taken the designer's hint? Use it liberally and frequently. We also recommend taking at least 5 smoke rounds with you. They will help you traverse fires with terrain. Here is a tip: don't forget to use the commander's sight. It allows for a wider field of view than the gunner's sight, and also boasts a 20x zoom for when you need to view a target at long range. In urban areas, the vehicle performs much better and even has a number of advantages. The high turning speed of the turret allows you to quickly react to targets in any direction. Combined with the turning circle of the hull, this means there will be few people who can get the jump on you. All you have to do is spot your opponents in time. In addition, the better quality road surfaces in towns and cities do not hinder its mobility. In general, it is good for the Merkava to have its sides well protected, leaving the rest to your skills and reaction. As a result, the Merkava Mk.2D is quite demanding, however. It is very large and somewhat fragile, but at range, in the hands of a commander with good reactions and who is not averse to retreating in a cloud of smoke on occasion, it is a highly commendable vehicle. To learn more about the Merkava Mk.2D, check out the article on the Wiki, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel.